Okay, so how do you even begin to build a digital government for more than 28 million people? Well, today we're going to dive into the incredible story of Absher, a platform that did exactly that. And let me tell you, this is way more than just a website. We're talking about a complete re-engineering of how a country operates from the inside out.
What we're looking at here is a digital transformation that's, well, it's pretty epic. We're going to see how a platform that was already a huge success actually became a victim of its own scale. It's a classic problem, right? And we'll see exactly what it took to rebuild it for the future. So let's kick things off by looking at the huge challenges they were up against.
All right, so even though it was a national success story on the surface, underneath, cracks were starting to show. Big ones. The platform was hitting some serious breaking points. And we're going to diagnose the 5 biggest problems here, not based on guesswork, but on cold, hard data from the analysis.
Challenge number 1, scalability. I mean, the system just couldn't keep up when things got busy. Think about it. During peak times, like the Hajj pilgrimage, the number of transactions would just explode. We're talking a 340% surge. And when that happened, the whole platform would just slow to crawl.
Now you might see 4.1 seconds and think, hey, that's not so bad. But let's be real. In our digital world, that is an absolute eternity. You've already clicked away, right? This wasn't just some minor glitch. It was a huge red flag that the core architecture just couldn't handle the load.
Okay, next up, interoperability. Basically, behind the scenes, all the different government ministries weren't speaking the same language. It was like a digital Tower of Babel, and that created this massive traffic jam of information, leading to huge delays for anyone needing a service that involved more than one department.
And this number, 8.5 minutes? Man, that tells you everything you need to know. Can you imagine? You're trying to do something simple, like verify your job status, and you have to sit there for almost 9 minutes while 2 computer systems try to talk to each other. It was a massive roadblock to any kind of seamless, modern experience.
Then there's security. Look, when you're a critical piece of a country's infrastructure, you're going to have a giant target on your back. And Absher was no exception. It became a prime target for cyber attacks. And the problem wasn't just there. It was getting worse, fast. We're talking a threat that was growing at a really alarming rate.
A 45% jump in targeted attacks year over year. That is huge. The old security model was basically just playing defense, always one step behind. It was like trying to patch leaks in a dam while the floodwaters are rising. It just couldn't keep up with how sophisticated and aggressive the threats were becoming.
Okay, challenge number 4, the user experience. You know, most people thought the platform was pretty good, but the data told a different story. It wasn't working for everyone. There were these hidden pockets of complexity and some serious accessibility gaps that were making things really frustrating for a lot of people. 1.5 million. Let that sink in. 1.5 million support calls in a single year. That's not just a statistic. That's a giant flashing sign that the user journey was broken for many. It desperately needed to be simpler, more intuitive, and way more inclusive for everyone in Saudi Arabia. The elderly, migrants, people with disabilities, you name it.
And the last big challenge? Decision support. This is a classic one. The platform was sitting on a mountain of data, but it had no idea what to do with it. It was data-rich, but insight-poor. It just didn't have the tools to help leaders look at all that information and make smart, proactive decisions about the future.
Yeah, this quote from the analysis just hits the nail on the head. It says the system could do basic reporting, but lacked a unified cross-ministry analytics backbone. In other words, there was no central brain connecting the dots. The government was essentially flying blind, trying to plan for the future with only a piece of the picture.
So, okay, that's a pretty serious list of problems, right? Scalability, interoperability, security, the list goes on. But now for the good part. Let's dig into the brilliant solution they engineered. This wasn't just a patch. It was a brand new, intelligent foundation for Absher, built specifically to tackle every single one of those challenges we just talked about. And here it is, this really elegant 5-layer architecture. The best way to think about it is like a high-tech skyscraper. So that first layer, the presentation layer, that's your beautiful, easy-to-use lobby. Everyone feels welcome. Then you've got the application layer. That's like the modular floors of the building, the actual engine room where services can be scaled up or down in an instant. The integration layer is the super smart elevator system, the universal translator that lets every department talk to each other seamlessly. The data layer? That's the building's central command center, the brain, analyzing everything in real time. And wrapping around the whole thing is the security layer. A digital fortress with what they call a zero-trust model, which basically means it's checking everyone's ID at every door, all the time.
Okay, so that's the blueprint. Sounds impressive, right? But the billion-dollar question is always, did it actually work? Well, the real test is in the numbers. And let me tell you, the before and after data tells a seriously powerful story.
I mean, just look at this. This is insane. That data latency, the delay we talked about between ministries, it went from over 8 minutes down to less than 10 seconds. That's a 98% drop. It's literally the difference between going to make a coffee while you wait and getting an answer before you can even blink.
And then there's uptime. The system went from 99.2% to 99.99% available. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a huge jump, but in the world of critical national infrastructure, every single 9 you add after that decimal point is a monumental achievement. It means dramatically less downtime and a system that millions of people can truly rely on.
The wins were just incredible, all across the board. Average response times more than cut in half. That scary 45% rise in cyber attacks flipped completely to a 40% reduction. And user satisfaction, it's now aiming for a world-class 95%. I mean, come on, these aren't just minor improvements. This is a complete top-to-bottom transformation.
So the big question is, how does this compare to the rest of the world? This right here is maybe the most important part. These results don't just look good in a vacuum, they put the new Absher right up there with the best of the best. We're talking about global leaders like Estonia, which is legendary for its digital government, and Singapore's Smart Nation initiative. To be in that league and even leading in some areas, wow, that just proves how successful this whole project was.
Okay, so we've seen the technical wins, right? The charts are all going up and to the right, which is great. But what's the so what? Why does this really matter beyond the tech? Well, it's because this massive leap forward isn't just about a better website. It's become the core engine driving Saudi Arabia's biggest national goals.
If you look at this from a strategic business perspective, it's like they had a checklist and they ticked every single box. Operational excellence? Check. 99.99% uptime and lower costs. New products? Check. They can roll out new services way faster now. Customer intimacy? Check. User satisfaction is way up. Better decision-making, competitive advantage, resilience, check, check, and check. It's the perfect example of turning incredible technical achievements into real, tangible strategic value.
And here's where it all comes together. This success plugs directly into the 3 main pillars of Saudi Vision 2030. For a vibrant society, you get more accessible, inclusive services that build trust. For a thriving economy, you get open data that lets the private sector innovate. And for an ambitious nation, you get a government that's way more efficient and makes smarter decisions because it's driven by data. It's the foundation for the whole vision.
So when you take a step back and look at this whole journey, it leaves you with this one really powerful question. What actually happens when a government stops being just a collection of disconnected services and starts to operate with the integrated intelligence of a single national brain?
Well, Absher is becoming the answer to that very question. By evolving into this cognitive ecosystem, it's more than just a success story for Saudi Arabia. It's becoming a blueprint for the rest of the world. It's a living example of what an intelligent, resilient, and truly citizen-focused government can look like in the 21st century. It's just an amazing story of how technology, when done right, can absolutely transform a nation.